Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and I'm back with another quick card Monday. We're going to keep things really simple. We're going to use some pattern paper and we're just going to have some fun. If you've been enjoying this quick card Monday series, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more inspiration. So for this first card, I have started by cutting this A2 panel out of the Fluted Classics rectangles because I love that detail around the edge. Then my navy cardstock is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. And then the pattern paper is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. There are dies in that Fluted Classics set that cut almost exactly those same sizes if you don't like 1/8 inch measurements. The pattern paper I'm using is from this Rainbow Twirl set. I bought this a while ago and I just love how gorgeous it is. It's from Paper Rose and it's slightly glossy. I have the 6 by 6, but there's also a 12 by 12. And then Spellbinders reached out to me and they were like, hey, we're carrying Paper Rose now. Can we send you some of the die cuts? And so they let me pick. I got to pick these die cuts that match the paper I already have, and they're super easy to use. There's 4 sheets, 1 of each, and I'm going to use that as the focal point on my card today. You guys, I didn't even know that Paper Rose did die cut pieces, so that was a lot of fun. I am just matting up my pieces, right? My pattern paper is going to go on my navy and there's just this tiny little 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. If you don't like 1/16 of inches, you could do 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 for that navy layer. And then I'm popping it all up on some of my easy pull foam dots. It just made more sense at the time than foam tape, though I'm not sure how. I added that same foam to the back of my die cut piece and I'll put that kind of centered towards the top. Some days, guys, I have a card sketch that I'm using, but some days I'm like, do I even need a card sketch? What if I just let the pattern paper shine or the die cuts shine or whatever that focal piece is, and I keep it really simple. So I'm going to add a strip sentiment down at the bottom. This is from the emergency kit favorites that came out in February. I'll link to that video below and then at the end of this video. I'm just trimming it up and then I will mat that on a 3/8 inch strip. And we're going to put that on our card. I showed in a video maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, how to add sentiments, strip sentiments, so that they are removable, just like our circle sentiments. And this is how I do it. I have a strip that's slightly narrower than that 3/8 of an inch, and I put foam behind it, and I will glue that to my card base. That is not removable. But it creates a space for me to add this strip sentiment with my removable adhesive, just like I would on my other emergency cards. And I love that this is now a super versatile card for my stash. For this second card, we're going to switch up the paper that we're using. This is one of a kind, also by Paper Rose, and Spellbinders sent me this pack. I chose the 12 by 12 because I like the larger prints, but you can get it in a 6 by 6 as well. And then I loved the sentiments on these. Be you, the world will adjust. Be who you are, not who the world wants you to be. And then there's like a whole bunch of them. And it's this gorgeous, elegant black with gold accents. There's no actual foil in this paper, but it looks like there is. There's 2 of each sheet in the pack, so I went ahead and took half of the sheets, 1 of each, and cut them up so that they're ready to go for cards. I have a piece that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then this pattern paper is 4 by 5 1/4. Again, we're keeping it really simple, right? I'm just creating a tiny little matte layer behind my pattern paper. The foam I'm using on this one is from Tailored Expressions, and I love the size of them, but they really gum up my scissors. So I don't talk about them a lot, but you do see me use them in videos. Definitely you can check them out if you're like, hey, I'm not worried about that. Or if you've got some amazing scissors. I don't. I have lots of like nonstick scissors, but for whatever reason, I don't have great luck. So I also cut up a ton of little foliage pieces. This is from the Club Blooms. It's an old club kit from Spellbinders, so it goes on sale a lot if you don't have this. See what's in your stash, right? There's leaves in most floral sets that you can do something like this to create a focal point for your sentiment. I love this paper. This might be my favorite print in the entire collection. So I didn't want to cover very much up. So I cut those leaves from some matte gold foil cardstock. And then the circle for my sentiment is Spellbinders brushed black cardstock. You guys, it's so pretty. It's got this great shimmer and a little bit of texture. I bought it a while ago and I always forget that I have it in my stash, but I pulled it out when I was looking for specialty cardstock to pair with this pattern paper that I love. So I'm going to go ahead and add a circle sentiment onto this one, and I will just add it temporarily in case I change my mind later. And it says joyful wishes on your birthday. And that finishes up this card. I'm not going to add anything else to it, right? If you have a pattern paper you love, let it shine, right? That's why we bought the paper. We loved what it looked like. All right, for card number 3, I have 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and actually that's just my card base. And then I'm going to add a piece of pattern paper that is the exact same size. So it's going to cover the entire card base. Sometimes when I'm working with pattern paper or I'm thinking I'm just going to do a really easy, simple something, I get inspired, and I did this time. So this is the large die of the month from Spellbinders. I've already made a ton of cards with this. I have another video coming out, I think next week, making 3 more cards, but it fit here, right? I love that deep, rich print with the letters on the background. And then we have these books, and I was like, we could make something really dreamy and special and use an emergency sentiment, because you know I love that. So I'm just putting the books together, and the books are super simple, right? There's a 3rd style for the longer book that I just stuck under my heavy weights. Those are my punches, right? Those are the punches I use for my emergency cards. I don't have a fancy paperweight. I don't need one. Those suckers are heavy. So I'm going to stick both the books under there. It's because they're sort of glossy. That cardstock doesn't like to stick together, so it helps if I layer them up like that. And I hadn't used this open book on anything yet, so I was really excited to use it here. I'm going to add those pieces just temporarily on there, and then I've got to figure out, like, will these trees even fit? I wasn't sure, right? This was sort of a spur of the moment. Let's just go for it. And once I find out that they do, I'm going to start stacking my books. I'm going to glue those on really well, and then I can start figuring out where are my leaves going to go? How am I going to assemble everything so that it fits on an A2 card? I think it's really designed for a 5x7, but you know I'm not following the rules. And then I have my open book here. When I start to fiddle with these leaves, I forget that I have switched to a stickier, clear mat for picking up die cuts. And I'm going to grab my older mat, and it's going to be a train wreck. Okay, so you've been warned, but it's going to be fine. Okay, it'll work out just fine. I'm doing my best in just creating sort of a symmetrical pattern with the first 4 pieces of foliage. And then I will lay my sticky mat on there. I will pick the whole thing up. And when I go to start adding my glue, like, nothing is stuck to the mat. Nothing. Guys, I don't know what I was thinking. It was a Monday. It was a Monday. So I'm going to add glue all over the back and do my best to lay this down in that same corner. And I'm only picking up the leaves. I didn't put any glue on the trees at this point because I want to make sure that, like, the trunks of the trees are touching that book. That cardstock being a little glossy was great. It gave me more wiggle room than I might have had if it was a non-glossy cardstock. And so once I get them where I want them, I will add glue to the leaves on those tiny, thin little branches. I just tap that glue off on the back of my hand because I really hate it when there's glue sort of on top of glossy or specialty cardstock. You can really tell, and that's not my favorite. So the second one goes on, and then there's some tiny foliage pieces too. Also, you guys, it's a silver, like a matte silver cardstock, and then it's a matte green foil cardstock. Like, I don't even know where I got that. It was a scrap in my bin that's been there forever, as I was like, when am I going to need a foiled green cardstock? So it was really exciting to get to use something that's just been sitting around taking up room in my stash. I'll add a few of these extra pieces, and you can see I've totally given up on the sticky mat at this point. I just, some days. Then I'll add a little bit of foam to the back of my circle. This is slightly smaller than 2 inches. It's 1 7/8 of an inch. And I'm going to punch out one of my sentiments. This is from the bonus kit I released on March 6th. And so it has some Disney themed Harry Potter books and new home sentiments. And this one says, I hope your year is one for the books. You guys, can you tell that I really have been working on building up my birthday stash? I have been. It's been sort of a challenge. Okay, so I put it on that black cardstock and I didn't like it. So instead, I cut another one out of some matte gold. It's the same gold accents that are running throughout the card, and I liked that much better. I'll use some temporary adhesive to add my sentiment, and that will finish up card number 3. Friends, I have one more card to show you. So a lot of times I will live stream with my friend Lynn over at LB Handcrafted. Well, this is a card I made when I was just watching the mystery craft along on her channel. I will link to that. It was so much fun. I will also link to all of the other videos I've been mentioning, the emergency kit sentiment that I put on these cards and the supplies I've used below. Before you go, I would love to know which of these cards is your favorite, and if you have a favorite brand of pattern paper, I would love to know all about it. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you next time.